Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Leadership Void podcast. I'm Enrique with my co host Vince to bring you the best in our veteran military spouse and first responder community. And Vince will introduce today's guest.
Absolutely. Thanks, Enrique. Happy August, everyone. We have with us Jason Vanderhaden. He is the 13th, or was the 13th Master Chief Petty Officer of the Coast Guard. He's retired from Tallahassee, Florida, honoring the Coast Guard's 232nd birthday. Wow. So, Jason, welcome to the show. Let's start off. Tell us a little bit about you.
Thanks, Vince. Joined the Coast Guard about 34 years ago, right out of high school. Didn't have a lot of options. College really wasn't an option. So joined thinking I was going to do the 4-year plan, and then I would turn around and get out and then go to college after I did the Coast Guard. Met my wife; she was in the Coast Guard, and we were both doing well. Enjoyed it. Our son was born, and we decided, we would stay with it. And PCS'd about 13 times throughout my career and experienced all parts of the country and really all parts of the world for me. And, enjoyed every minute of it. And that's the truth. You have days that are tough, but, my career allowed me to go to sea for an appropriate amount of time and to be ashore for an appropriate amount of time and do some special assignments. And, I'll tell you, it was, I would do it all over again. If I could start tomorrow, I wouldn't change a thing. I would join. I wouldn't do anything different than I did throughout my career. Just blessed to have a bunch of good leaders that I work for, which leads me to why I was very thankful to have the opportunity to talk to you two about leadership. So thanks for having me.
Well, no, we're blessed to have you. And we were sharing just a couple of interchanges between Air Force, Coast Guard, Navy, and how we overlap in those times. And not a bad result for a 4-year plan there, Jason. My 4-year plan didn't end up that way, but I'm so happy that you were able to rise through leadership and find yourself in the position of MCPOCG. Now, throughout your tenure and your career, I know that you had some pivotal leadership moments where you learned the most from. What would that be for you that you could share with the audience today?
That's great, Enrique. Thank you. The thing that you need to know when you first join is how to be a good follower. So followership is not, these days, our young folks are super bright. They're very intelligent. They're motivated. They're energized, and they can do their own research on things, and they have good ideas. So it's being a follower is not always easy. It sounds easy, but learning to embrace the goals and the missions of the unit, and in fact maybe even your department and down to your division. And what your supervisors want to get done, and then trying to meet the needs, the expectations, and the goals of your supervisor, it takes some work. And when you're young and you want to go as fast as you can, you're a motivated leader. Sometimes taking a step back and being a good follower can be tough. So I learned some tough lessons. I was a young kid from Florida that got stationed in New York, my first duty station, and different culture, different ways of talking to people, different work. There's a lot of differences between a young kid from Florida and going to New York and being around a bunch of people from New York. So I learned quickly how to be not quickly. I learned to be a follower. It took me a little time. And then as you move up in the organization, you learn to lead at a smaller teams. You lead that work ethic, that work effort, and have a good work ethic, and to get the smaller things done, and you learn to get to know your people that way. And then as you move up a little bit in the organization, you start to understand the why. Okay, why do we do what we do? And then you're in more of a delegation role where you assign tasks and you assign jobs, but you need to take a moment and make sure your people understand the why. And when they understand why they're doing what they're doing, they're far more likely to work harder at it and to get after what you want done in a quicker. And you don't really have to. You can lead through your personal power instead of your position power. And then when you get up to the senior levels of the organization, now you're leading to a senior. You're taking the concerns and the challenges and the the family issues and all the things that are affecting the people that are under that you support, that you they may technically work for you, but you should feel like you work for them, and you're sharing that with senior leadership so that you can affect positive change for the whole organization, or at least the part of the organization that you're responsible for. So you take that followership to leading others, to kind of leading the why, and then leading the whole Coast Guard and trying to affect policy to improve the quality of life for all those underneath you, and knowing those different roles, and being able to adjust your leadership style is critical. And I think being able to being able to adjust your leadership style as you move up in the organization and who you're working with and what your roles and responsibilities are is critical.
Absolutely critical. And thank you for sharing, the great tidbits of things you learned through your evolution of 34 years, starting out as a follower, know your why, take that personal power versus position power. Great words of wisdom there. Over those 34 years, who was instrumental and impacted you while you served in the Coast Guard?
At virtually every unit that I was at, there was at least a few people that I said, I want to be like them. And there's also a few people that you say, I don't want to be like them. And, so I was, I worked hard. I had a good work ethic. I worked hard when I was younger, but I didn't, I wasn't as focused. I worked hard today. I didn't have a plan. I wasn't good at planning where I wanted to be 5 years from now. And, I worked for a couple, when I was a junior petty officer. I finally had somebody that said, hey, what your month is longer than your money supply. So you need to start doing something about that. And they sat me down and talked to me about, planning and being smart with my time, my money, and my behavior. And then when I was at E5, I was now I have a son. I'm married, and I have a son, and I have a daughter. And I was a very hard worker, but I didn't put the same level of effort into my family life that I put into my work. And I had a master chief, an E9, who was my officer in charge. He was the captain of the ship. His name was Mark Schweiger, and he showed me what it was like to be a good family man, to put your family first, to say, respect your family, take time for your family, treat your family well. And then, again, worked with some other folks throughout my career that, helped me get my priorities and make sure that my values were aligned with my goals. So I would have, if you have a goal that's, I want to make rank as fast as I can. But your values say that you value your family, you value your church, you value, your hobbies. Those two, that goal of making rank really fast doesn't always comport well with what you say your values are. And so aligning, I had an opportunity to work with a captain of a ship. His name was Mark Reiniger. He taught me, hey, know what your values are, because I wanted to be an officer. I said, I want to go to officer candidate school. He says, that's great, but I can see that you're a better chief than you would be an officer. So I think that, I would recommend you for officer candidate school, but I don't think you'll be happy. And he taught me the value, the importance of understanding that your goals need to really match your values. So those little things that, are what helped me get to Master Chief. And then from there, I've worked with some incredible admirals that just, in the Coast Guard, we have a very small number of admirals, and you just don't make admiral unless you're just, absolutely brilliant and a rock star. So every one of the admirals that I worked for was just made me a better person. So yeah, I think you're not going to go as far as you want to go if you don't match your goals and your values.
And values are so important. And I'm listening to you, Jason, depict and detail your career in snapshots. And I also had a great opportunity to work for great admirals, great captains, as senior enlisted. And, what I love about that whole trajectory was that there was somebody that said no. Somebody
right.
that said no, because I see in you the potential to be a great this versus a good enough that. And, as leaders, that's so important to be able to identify that. And look, you're wearing the shirt, right? Good on that, man.
Yeah.
to say, hey, I see something in you that you might not see yet. And drive you in that direction, and so kudos to him, and thanks, because we have definitely capitalized and benefited from your time in office. There's a lot of changes that you've seen undoubtedly in 34 years. Vince and I have seen different changes, both Navy and Air Force, throughout our time in service and out. So what are some of your thoughts regarding the future of the Coast Guard? Because I know there's a lot of changes environmentally that are affecting the way Coast Guard is progressing. So what are your thoughts on that?
I tell you, the Coast Guard is in a really unique position within the government to be able to kind of be the Swiss Army knife, if you will. If you need something, we have a really talented cyber workforce. So as cybersecurity is always important, but it will always be important. But we have a very talented cyber workforce. The Arctic, we are pretty much the experts in the Arctic, all the way back from Roaring Mike Healy, back when he was the law in Alaska. We've always been there in the Arctic, and we pride ourselves on having an expertise in the Arctic, and conversely in the Antarctic as well. And then in terms of building partner nations capacity, so the Coast Guard is very good at building partnerships. We go to most other nations of the world can't afford a navy like our wonderful U.S. Navy. They just can't. So their navies actually look a lot more like a Coast Guard, and their navies perform a lot of the same functions as a Coast Guard. So we are well trained and well equipped with our training teams, our deployable training teams, to go to other nations and to teach them how to take care of themselves. We are some of I would say, some of the other countries that we compete with around the world have a tendency to just go in, write a big check, and then expect that country to take care of, do what they want them to do. We as the United States try to help that country be self-sustaining, to take care of their natural resource and law enforcement. So I see the Coast Guard growing. We are growing. We're growing both the size of our fleet, our aircraft, our missions, as you talked about the environment. The environment is critically important. As the climate changes, a lot of the infrastructure, a lot of the ports, and a lot of the usage around, the ports and waterways usage is going to change. The look of it is going to change. And in Alaska, we're seeing a lot of challenges with the permafrost melting, so the Coast Guard will be there to help them. And so I think every year you're going to see growth in the Coast Guard, both missions and people and responsibility.
Mission, people, responsibility, indeed. The Swiss Army knife of the United States government. I love that.
Makes sense.
So, Jason, let me ask you this question. Talk about leadership now. Nuggets. what highlights, what pearls of wisdom you had and you would like to share with our audience in your time in the Coast Guard?
Thanks, Vince. I think today leadership has changed a lot in that, when I came in the Coast Guard, we didn't have the technology that we have now. So I basically saluted smartly. My boss told me to do something. My boss's boss told them to do something. And then that person told me to do something. And I just saluted smartly and did it. And because I didn't know any better and I had no way of the technology was not there to do any research. There was no Google. There wasn't even cell phones. So nowadays, it's very likely that your subordinate will be just as informed as you are. And in the past, information was power, and people use that. I have more information than you, so you better do what I say, or I'm not going to share this information that you need with you. Now, it's anybody can look anything up. You can search anything. You can be just as smart as your boss pretty quickly in terms of information. Maybe not experience, but information. So now supervisors need to, they need to respect that and lead from that's why understanding the why and teaching people about the why, sharing your experiences, and being a servant type leader is a lot more important. You hear a lot of servant leadership now. I wasn't a lot of servant leadership going on when I was coming up, but that was okay. There wasn't the time for me to question, hey, why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? I just did it because I couldn't know any better. So I think being able to be adaptable, to understand your people, and to be able to share your experience in a why, and have leadership be a give and take, a much more give and take than it was before, where you actually check on, hey, do you understand why you're doing this? Do you know why I've asked you to do that? Do you know why we as a unit are doing this? And being able to talk and not being afraid to be questioned. In the past, leaders didn't like to really be questioned. Now you can expect to be questioned, and you should have the answers. And so that's being comfortable with being questioned, and understanding that our generation these days, the folks that we work, they're curious. They want to know. They have the ability to learn, and they have the ability to do the research, and you're a part of that research that they're doing. So don't be upset if you get questioned. The other thing too is understanding your people, and then knowing some people need a push. So some people, they're not that maybe they're not really doing the job they really love. Maybe they're plenty capable, plenty intelligent, but they're just not really excited about the job, or there's something else going on in their life, or they just aren't really putting forth the effort that they could put forth, and they're not maybe meeting their potential. Those people, they need a push. You have to get behind them, and you have to challenge them. You have to tell them that they can do better. You have to say, I know you can do better. I know you can work a little harder at that. I know you have the ability to put out a better quality product or whatever than you're doing. And I expect you to do that. And I'm going to set a high standard for you, and I expect you to meet it. And if you need help meeting it, I'll help you. And then there's people that are working as hard as they can. They come to work early every day. They stay late. They're trying very hard, but they just don't grasp it. They need some help. They want to be good, but they need your experience. They need to understand better. And so those people need a pull. They need a hand up. They need you to reach out to them and pull them. Knowing when your people need a push, when they're maybe not putting forth the effort, or when they need a pull, is very important, because if you yell or gripe or show displeasure with the person that is working, that needs a pull, and you give them a push, that you will demotivate them and disincentivize them, and then you start going in opposite directions. Conversely, if you try to pull somebody that is not really putting forth the effort, you will drive yourself crazy, because that's not the way. They don't need any more help. They got it, and they know they have it. And when you almost insult their intelligence when you say, and then you kind of demotivate them, because you're acting like they don't know what to do when they do. So that's it's not easy to do that. There's a cultural thing, you need to understand that, how to motivate, some people like to be taught. You have to understand, I live by a rule called the platinum rule. We're familiar with the golden rule: do unto others as they want done, as you would have done to you. The platinum rule is do unto others as they want done to them. Because just because I'm okay with somebody talking to me a certain way doesn't mean that somebody else is okay with that same talk. And so you need to understand how your behavior is affecting others. And to do that, you have to talk to them, you have to ask them, you have to kind of read them, judge them, and then you have to know whether or not they need a push or a pull.
That's absolutely great advice. Throughout your talk, I've noticed that you've mentioned flexibility at the leadership level, knowing where you are and what is required of your people is so important as a leader. And, the days of not getting questioned, those days are pretty much over, right? Because
Yes.
you're going to get the question. There's just too much information out there for you to act like you're the reservoir of knowledge, right?
Right.
And they need to drink from your fountain. But leadership is so dynamic, and it's critical to know that what got you here won't get you there. It is the same way for you as a leader as it is for those that are following. Now, I saw a video, Jason, the other day where you was up at Cape May enjoying the great breakfast or lunch with the recruits, and it's funny you were saying that this tranquil time. There was no tranquility in that room
Not there.
whatsoever.
Not there.
But there's a lot of folks, a lot of young men, a lot of young women that are maybe end up listening to this and are, you know, expecting McPog to give them some advice before they go, finally meet those company commanders and recruiters and all those kind of folks. So what advice, what leadership tip would you give an upcoming men and men and women entering the Coast Guard?
Yeah. Thanks, Enrique. So, we are hiring. We need people, and I hope people take a good look at the Coast Guard, because there's a lot of opportunity there. During the global war on terror, we had a lot of people join out of a sense of patriotic duty. They wanted to go take we were attacked, so they want to go take the attack to the enemy, that type of thing. And recruiting was easy. Now with our pacing threats being China and Russia, and to some degree Iran, nobody really is joining the military because they're excited to go to war with Russia. So now you have to look at it as, okay, why would I join the military? Well, there's a lot of skills you can learn. If you can't really afford to go to college, if you're done with school and you kind of, I'm not sure I really want to go into a 4-year schooling, and maybe you want to learn a trade, but you can't really afford to get into a tech school or something. The military is the way to go. And so now we focus on, we're here to make you a better person. We're going to train you. We're going to give you some leadership, some life skills. We're going to, and then a technical skill. And if you're thinking about joining the military, any branch of the military, including the Coast Guard, just remember that there were hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people that have come before you, and they did it. So you have to tell yourself, if they can do it, I can do it. And know that when you join the military, it's a basic training is a very short period of time where we have to instill quite a bit of training, quite a bit of followership, quite a bit of knowledge and your military bearing. We have to put a lot. We have to teach you a lot in a short period of time. So that's why it's very intense. It's as intense as it is. But know that I have never ever met a single person that graduated from basic training that didn't stand a little taller, that didn't feel a little prouder, that wasn't absolutely, feeling really good about themselves, and was, so glad that they did it. And you just have to get through, you have to get through a little bit of anxiety. It's a big change in your life, is to, go from, having maybe a little longer hair or some facial hair, whatever. And then now you're in the military and you're wearing a uniform, but know that you're also a part of a team now. And there is no better feeling than being a valued member of a team. And you're no longer an individual just kind of bouncing around in your life. You have purpose, you have teammates, you have a mission, vision, and guiding principles. You have direction in your life now, and that is what the military will provide you. And if you do 4 years, in some cases maybe only 2, but 4 years or 40 years, it is going to be rewarding every step of the way. And you will be able to look to your right, look to your left, and know that you have people that think like you, act like you, and have your back. You're never alone in the military.
Tell you what, Jason, I have goosebumps, man, because
Well,
it was great.
Thanks,
because literally that was my situation. Basically, I was a father at 18, and I was like, where do I go? And to your point, I joined the Air Force, and here I am. I became validated, doing something bigger and greater than myself, service before self. So everything you said is great. And folks that are listening in who would love to get a hold of you, how do they go about doing so?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn. And so you can find me on LinkedIn, just Jason Vanderhaden. My email address, if you want to email me, it might take me a little bit of time to get back, but it's very simple. It's just jvanderhaden@gmail.com. Happy to talk with anybody and to help anybody that might have a question, or might be having a tough time saying, you make it sound so good, but it's not so good for me right now. I may have the answer for you. So sometimes it's just, you just need to hear something a certain way. But I will be happy to any of your listeners, any of the folks that love you guys. If they love you, I love them too. So that's great.
Well, we
Thanks.
appreciate that so much. And folks, we're going to have that as part of the show notes and video so you can get a hold of MCPOCG. Jason, it's been a great joy to have you. I know you're just fresh out the office. So I know you try to get some respite time there in the family as well. Folks, if you want to get a hold of the Leadership Void podcast, the leadership void at gmail.com is our email. If you'd like to see a guest or maybe have a topic discussed concerning leadership, Vince and I will curate that list and get it on the show. But, Jason, it's been such a joy to have you. We wish you all the best. And if you ever need anything from us, let us know.
Well, Enrique and Vince, I got to tell you, thank you. You're making everybody better. You're taking the time to share insights. You never know what your podcast may affect somebody and may touch somebody in a way that helps them to be successful. And I'm sure one of your leaders will be a service senior enlisted leader one day, and they'll look back and say, I heard this thing one time. Because that's really, it's just these little things that you might hear that might get you to the next level. And I'm grateful to both of you for taking your time to help everybody else get better. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jason, for that. It's an honor and a privilege for all of us to do these great episodes here. And we are here honestly to celebrate 232 years of the Coast Guard, folks. So it's
Happy birthday, Coast Guard.
Happy birthday, Coast Guard. Couple other things. Home Team Mortgage. They're a great sponsor. Thank you for everything they do for sponsoring the Leadership Void. And also, we do Radio Check on the 1st and the 15th of every month at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 1900 hours on LinkedIn Live. A time for us to get together with community, both military and first responders, check in, respond, figure out how to get back and forth, pivot, learn from each other. So check us out at 1st and 15th at 1900 Radio Check. But it's all about Jason today and the 232nd birthday of the Coast Guard. Thank you again and have a great day.
Thanks, Vince.